fire indication. We'd like to declare an emergency, and I'm descending now. We're just getting ourselves down here as fast as we can.
It's a beautiful Saturday morning in the summer of July 20th, 1996. Anchorage International Airport, Alaska. In the midst of bustling airport activities, Northern Air Cargo's Douglas DC-6A Flight 33 is being loaded with 28,000 pounds of valuable cargo destined to reach several communities scattered across the expansive Alaskan landscape. Today's routine flight plan is, as always, demanding, starting with their first stop at Aniak Airport to offload cargo and mail. From Aniak, the journey would continue to Bethel and Emmanuck, where similar offloading tasks were scheduled. The day's mission would culminate with a return to Anchorage International Airport, covering almost 1,000 nautical miles. In the cockpit, 3 crew members are deeply engaged in a thorough pre-flight routine, meticulously going through extensive checklists. Their focus is on preparing to start the 4 Pratt & Whitney double WASP radial engines. With the cargo loaded and secured and checks completed, the crew initiated the startup procedures of the 4 18-cylinder engines. A prescribed sequence is followed, methodically bringing each engine to life, readying the aircraft for the day-long journey across the Alaskan skies. Taking off from Anchorage International Airport, Flight 33 smoothly ascended to its designated cruising altitude, setting course for Aniak, the first stop of the day. At the controls is 53-year-old Captain Bruce Bell, a veteran aviator with a remarkable 14,200 flight hours, of which 7,200 were logged in the Douglas DC-6. Beside him, First Officer Gary Claiborne, boasting 9,000 hours of total flight time, including 4,500 hours in the DC-6. Completing the crew, Flight Engineer Rex Ketchum, who had been certified as a flight engineer on December 7, 1994, held a commercial pilot certificate, though he was not type-rated on the DC-6. As Flight 33 neared Aniak, the crew encountered adverse weather conditions near the airport, leading to an essential alteration in their itinerary. Opting to bypass Aniak, they redirected towards Bethel, their next scheduled stop. With a revised flight path, they smoothly navigated to Bethel Airport, achieving a safe landing around 7 a.m. local time. After successfully unloading the cargo at Bethel, the crew readied the aircraft for its onward journey to Emmanuck. However, unfavorable weather at Emmanuck, falling below safe operational minimums, led Northern Air Cargo's operations to instruct the flight to remain at Bethel until the weather ameliorated. Several hours later, with improved conditions at Emmanuck, the flight received clearance to continue, resuming the next phase of its schedule. Arriving at Emmanuck near noon, Flight 33 quickly offloaded its cargo. The team efficiently managed a rapid turnaround, and by 14:10 p.m., the aircraft was back in the air. Aniak Airport, free from earlier weather disruptions, was their next stop for additional cargo and mail offloading before the return flight to Anchorage. It was at this juncture that an extra passenger joined the flight at Emmanuck, hitching a return trip with the crew. After a day full of unexpected challenges and delays caused by weather, the crew remained determined to fulfill their cargo delivery schedule and return to Anchorage before nightfall. However, 45 minutes into their flight from Emmanuck, the crew faced an unexpected and grave emergency when the fire bell suddenly activated in the cockpit.
Which one is it, number 3? Number 4. Firewall selector. Firewall selector. Selector. Oh. Number 3, engine still burning. Discharge the right-hand bank. Are we feathered? Feather it. Okay, there he goes. I still see a fire. Propeller on number 3 still not completely feathered. Speed going down too.
A minute after the fire alarm, confusion between the captain and first officer about the troubled engine gave way to the identification of engine number 3 as the culprit. Their response, deploying fire suppression and trying to feather the propellers, was met with challenges, particularly in fully feathering engine 3's propellers and extinguishing the fire. As time is ticking away, Captain Bell is pressed to make an imminent critical decision.
Set to meadow power. Run landing checks. Is number 3 feathered? Still not feathered. Feather 3. There it goes. 3 is feathering. Confirm 3 is feathered, still indicating fire. Fire is starting to go out. No fire indication. Set to meadow power. Wow, I saw another flicker. If the fire is out, I would rather not land here.
Captain Bruce Bell is referring to a small airfield at Russian Mission, a remote village nestled along the banks of the Yukon River.
What is that smell? There is smoke in the cockpit. Airspeed 115. I can see the fire still burning. We need to get this airplane down. Water on. Not too tight. 115. I'm going downwind for this runway. We're getting hot on all the other engines. Keep her going. Yeah, keep her going. Whoa!
In a sudden and unforeseen moment, the DC-6's wing detached from the fuselage during its base leg turn in the traffic pattern for runway 35 at Russian Mission. The airplane rolled to the right and crashed nose first into the ground, roughly 3/4 of a mile from the runway. Sadly, this catastrophic accident resulted in the tragic loss of all 3 crew members and the passenger on impact. News of the accident swiftly reached the operations center of Northern Air Cargo in Anchorage, leading to the immediate dispatch of emergency teams to the crash site at Russian Mission. The NTSB formed a team of experts who, along with Northern Air Cargo representatives, conducted an extensive examination of the accident site. Key components of the airplane wreckage, including various engine parts, were collected and sent to aviation industry specialists for detailed examination and testing. Additionally, the cockpit voice recorder was recovered and subjected to thorough analysis. Following months of meticulously examining all available information, the NTSB released its aviation investigation final report on the crash of Northern Air Cargo Flight 33. The NTSB report identified 2 major issues, with the first being the cause of the engine fire in the number 3 engine. The disassembly of this engine revealed a broken crankcase in the forward cylinder bank, specifically between cylinders 6 and 8. Further investigation showed that the master rod and all link rods were severed, with visible striations on the master rod shank. These components, including the master rod, cylinder, and piston, were analyzed by the NTSB's metallurgical laboratory. The findings indicated a crack on the top of the rod head and 2 areas of fatigue fracture. Additionally, the rod head was out of round and the shank had failed due to fatigue, opposite the side of the fatigue crack in the rod head. The metallurgical report concluded that the origin of the fracture at the top of the rod head was due to corrosion pits. The surprising second finding in the accident report involved a procedural error by the flight crew. The NTSB's analysis of the cockpit voice recorder indicated that the crew failed to adhere to emergency procedures, specifically by pulling the fire handle before feathering the propeller. This misstep reduced the effectiveness of the fire suppression system, leading to an uncontained fire. This fire likely compromised the structural integrity of the aircraft, culminating in the wing failure and the subsequent crash.
Feather it. Okay, there he goes. I still see a fire.
With the flight crew's combined flying experience totaling approximately 25,000 hours, questions naturally arise about how such a seasoned team could commit a seemingly apparent procedural error. What the accident report did not delve into were the personal circumstances of the crew. Factors like inadequate sleep, stress from personal matters, or physical and emotional health issues can lead to lapses in concentration at critical moments. These human factors, often overlooked, can have dire consequences, sometimes resulting in the ultimate price being paid.